Hi, good morning, everyone, and welcome along to our webinar on how to stop ransomware from hitting schools. So my name's Tom with Faronics. We focus on helping schools protect their networks from attacks. We're going to talk today about what ransomware is, why it's a serious threat, and most importantly, what you can do in your school to protect yourself from these attackers. So starting off with what ransomware is and why it's a big deal. So it's a type of malicious software or malware that's specifically designed to do one thing: hold your data hostage. The way it works is quite straightforward, but it's incredibly damaging. Once ransomware gets into your system in your school, it's going to encrypt your files, so it locks them up with complex algorithms that are virtually impossible to crack without a special decryption key. And after the files are encrypted, you or whoever runs the network is going to get a message on the screen. Might be something simple like your files have been encrypted, or sometimes something more threatening, demanding a ransom to be paid, maybe in Bitcoin, to get the decryption key. And here's the kicker: even if you pay that ransom, there's no guarantee you will get your data back. Cybercriminals aren't really known for their customer service. Some victims pay and they don't hear back. Others might get their data restored, but then they find that the ransomware has left behind other malware which reinfects their system later. So paying the ransom is a risky move, to say the least. Prevention is definitely better than cure. So you might be thinking, how do they get into my system in the first place? Well, ransomware can find its way into your network through a variety of channels. So the most common way is through phishing emails. These are emails that look legitimate. They might even appear to come from someone you know, but they contain malicious links or attachments. And if someone in your school clicks on one of those links or downloads an attachment, that's all it takes for the ransomware to get in. But it doesn't stop there. That ransomware can spread through infected websites, malicious ads, or by exploiting vulnerabilities in your software. So if your operating system or your applications aren't up to date, there could be weaknesses that hackers can exploit to get into your network. Once they're in, they can deploy that ransomware and start locking up your files. So once the ransomware's infiltrated your network, it can move laterally. So it might spread from one infected device to another within the same network. So that's why a single infection can turn into a massive problem very quickly. A single employee clicking on a bad link could potentially lead to your entire organization being held hostage. And then if that happens, the impact of an attack can be devastating. Imagine not being able to access critical files or systems for days or weeks. Everything grinds to a halt. The school might have to close. And if the ransom is paid, that's money out of the school's pocket that can be spent on much better things. And the time and resources you need to restore your systems and your data, and also not to mention the loss of reputation, that can be enormous, that damage. So summarizing then, ransomware is a type of malware that encrypts your data and demands a ransom for its release. It's sneaky, it spreads quickly, and it can bring your school to a standstill. So understanding what ransomware is and how it operates is the first step in protecting yourself against it. So here are some recent news articles from schools around the world. Unfortunately, schools make for appealing targets for ransomware attackers because school data is sensitive and precious, and sometimes or often budgets are low. Security is sometimes not prioritized in schools. So that is why there have been a sad number of stories like these in the news, unfortunately happening all the time. Schools are getting attacked because they are attractive targets. So imagine you get to work one morning, you try to log in maybe, and you see this message. That's what we want to avoid here. We want to be maintaining happy, healthy schools. We don't want that downtime at all. And it's obviously going to be really important to train your staff on how to recognize the risks of ransomware and follow best practice to minimize those risks. But you're still going to be relying on humans, and humans make mistakes. So that's not a very safe place to be. Just a couple of statistics on ransomware in primary schools in the UK. 52% of primary schools identified a breach in the last 12 months, and 71% of sorry, that should say secondary schools, the second line, 71% of secondary schools identified a breach in the last 12 months. So that is a very scary number. Just shows how widespread the problem is. So bearing in mind the context I've set here, there's a couple of possible strategies you can adopt. You could plan for the worst, or you could hope that nothing bad happens. The first strategy is a lot better. It really shouldn't take a lot of time and money, but it can stop you getting completely wiped out. But unfortunately, the second strategy is what a lot of schools do, especially smaller schools. So one way of looking at your sensitive data is that it's the center of your onion. If you see your school as an onion, all that important data is what the hacker wants to get hold of. And to reduce the risk of the hacker getting hold of that information, you want as many layers as possible between your hacker and your data. You want as big an onion as you can. The best way to stop your attacker is to pile up as many layers of security as possible. This is what we mean by layered security. If the attacker manages to get through one layer, there's another layer of security in the way. You want layers that neutralize those common threats to improve your overall resilience. We want to strengthen our defenses, multiple layers of protection that thwart ransomware attackers at every turn, producing resilient schools, safe, resilient schools. So at Faronics, we really remove a big headache for our customers. We have many thousands of school customers around the world, and security is not something that our customers spend their time worrying about. So I'm going to show you how Faronics customers achieve that peace of mind with a product called Faronics Cloud Deep Freeze, which IT managers use to look after their devices. So this product contains many layers of protection. So the first layer of protection is antivirus. So I can easily just select this computer here and scan it. And I can set those scans to run on a schedule. I can set a firewall. I can enable active protection to keep up to date with all the latest threats as they are identified by our market-leading antivirus offer. And you can just stay protected automatically that way. Second layer of protection is anti-executable. So here in my policy, if I turn on my anti-executable module, I can block executable files. The most common method of entry for a ransomware attacker is an executable file. So I can basically block all unknown executable files if I want. And I have this tab here, ransomware prevention. If I enable ransomware prevention, I'm going to be blocking this long list of known ransomware file extensions. Very straightforward. I just tick that box and I'm going to be protected from known ransomware. Now, obviously, there's a lot of unknown ransomware. All the time there's more, but there are several layers within Faronics Cloud Deep Freeze to protect you from unknown ransomware, which we can go into. A further layer of protection is software updates. Now, When, for example, when there's a update to Google Chrome, for example, often it's a security update, and it's an important security update. Google have identified a vulnerability, they've identified a new threat, and they are protecting all users from that threat. But quite often in a school, there's a lag between Google issuing that update and the update becoming live in the school. But with software update, you have a long list of pre-packaged applications here. You just have to select the applications that you want to automatically keep up to date and schedule a maintenance periods, let's say between midnight and 1 o'clock on a Thursday morning. And then all that software is going to be updated automatically in that maintenance window. So you're protecting yourself automatically. You don't have that manual step of identifying whether a software update's needed and then having to deliver them. But if you want, you can do it that way. So on the applications page, you always know what version of what software you're running and where. So here I can see for my browsers, I can see I've got Safari up to date there, Firefox out of date. And I could just select and update. Very simple, one click. And if I have applications that didn't appear on the long list, I can add any applications I want and I can manage them from within one cloud console. And the same with Windows updates. I can automate my Windows updates. If I tick this box here, perform Windows updates, and maybe I want to always install critical updates, always install security updates. And again, I can set that to run overnight. That is shutting down a big window to ransomware attackers. Many high-profile ransomware attacks have occurred from out-of-date patching. So very simple, just shut that door. Don't have that lag when Microsoft issue a critical update or a security update. They're doing so for a very good reason. They're not doing so for the sake of it. They're doing so to protect you. So just deliver those updates on a timely basis, and you are drastically reducing your ransomware risk. But again, you can schedule your Windows updates or you can do them on demand. So here on the Windows updates page, one way of doing it, I can just hit that install missing patches and that will automatically just update everything if I prefer to do it that way. Or I can see patch by patch. So here are my security updates. That one's been approved. This one hasn't been approved. I'll just approve that. Or I could approve all and deny. And I can make sure on demand that I'm up to date. So a further layer of security is kiosk mode in WinSelect. So this is really useful in a school, especially if you have, say, a computer lab or any room really where there are several students using a device over the course of a day, and you're a bit worried they might mess something up or change your settings, configuration creep causing you problems. You can basically lock down the desktop. You can say, this is what it looks like, my desktop. These are the header elements, the body elements, the footer elements. So I'm going to say to my users, I'm allowing you these web links, these applications, and nothing more. So you can make sure that they're going to use the computer in a safe way. And again, it's a further way of reducing your risk. All we're doing here is reducing our risk almost down to zero. So underneath those layers of security, we have something extremely powerful, which is unique to Faronics called Deep Freeze. If I enable Deep Freeze in my policy here, then with Deep Freeze enabled on a policy, when I restart that workstation, it will restart in its original state. So any changes at all made on that computer will disappear on a restart. So suppose you have a ransomware attack. Suppose you know you've been attacked and you know that your attacker has made it through your antivirus, made it through your anti-executable, your automated software updates, your automated Windows updates, and you've had kiosk mode and you've still had an attack that's gone through all those 5 layers of security. Deep freeze isn't Deep freeze is an exceptionally powerful layer of security beneath all your other layers because it will eliminate any malicious code. You restart that workstation, it restarts in its pristine state. Anything bad is gone forever. So suppose I did have a ransomware attack, I could just restart all my devices here. And then I have recovered from the attack. I know I have recovered. I know that I do not need to spend months trying to work out if I have still got compromised network, compromised data. I don't have to pay the ransom. I can get on with my life basically. So deep freeze is a really powerful layer of defense against ransomware. And you can, for those of a nervous disposition, if you want to be alerted when something bad happens, like if you get a virus, you can get an notification, email notification, or notification through the app. There's an administrator app, or maybe you want to be notified maybe immediately if there's a patch pending approval for Windows updates, or if you've got an outdated security status, you can get that notification immediately. So you can set everything up so you don't have to worry about it. But if you're still the worrying kind, then you have these alerts to make sure that you're going to know when something bad happens. But like I say, with deep freeze, when anything bad happens, you are a restart away from a pristine computer. So just to recap on those layers of security, the more layers of protection you can pile up, the better. So the first layer is antivirus. So that's going to stop all the obvious bad stuff like viruses, worms, and Trojans. Often you have antivirus running, but definition's not up to date. Small to mid-size schools tend to lag behind the larger schools, leaving those schools vulnerable. If you have a bad guy making it through there, then they're up against layer 2, anti-executable, really strong whitelisting tool. So that's only going to allow approved programs through, and that's going to stop everything else, like targeted attacks or zero-day threats or mutated viruses. The third layer of protection is software updates. Having an application installed does not guarantee it will be kept up to date. So you can schedule your software updates to go live almost as soon as they're ready without disrupting any users. The fourth layer of protection is Windows updates. So often a school will contain a massive variation in builds and patches, often very messy and complex, hard to manage, and it's risky. So you can simplify all of that, keep everything centralized and consistent, and close that window to ransomware attackers. Kiosk mode allows you to limit your risk, especially useful in the kind of computer rooms where you have several students using the same computer over the course of the day. And then finally, if any attack makes it through the first 5 layers, they're going to arrive at the final and the most powerful layer, deep freeze, which is unique to Faronics. Deep freeze is basically a powerful reset button. If you press that button, deep freeze will eliminate anything bad forever and restore your computer back to its original state in seconds. So deep freeze makes your devices extremely resilient. Whatever a hacker does, you can recover it. So put together, these layers are a strong ally. They're going to allow you to win that war against malicious attacks. Once you're set up, you're going to spend less time fixing computers and more time on productive activities. We've got 30,000 customers, 33,000 customers around the world, and ransomware isn't something that our customers worry about. So many of our customers have reported to us that ransomware has stopped. As Greg says here, our customer, layered security is a no-brainer. You don't want to be relying on one line of defense. You need more than one layer. And another couple of quotes from happy customers in schools. As I say, we've got a large number of customers in schools all around the world, and they're happy customers, like these quotes here from Phil and Brian talking about deep freeze and antivirus and anti-executable, saving them time, making their lives easy. Just a little bit of information about Faronics in case you haven't come across us before. We've been around for a quarter of a century, during which time we have sold more than 12 million licenses, pretty much all around the world, to more than 33,000 customers. And our customers range from the big school groups to the tiniest schools. We're available to support all types of all shapes and sizes in the education sector. Our headquarters are in Vancouver in Canada, and we have an office in the USA, in Bracknell in England. That's where I'm based. And we also have one in Singapore, and also a recently opened office that hasn't made it onto that map in Dubai. But we've got fantastic partners all around the world who work with us to provide exceptional service. So wherever you are in the world, there's going to be someone nearby who can look after you. So if you want us to tell you who your local representative is, please just let us know and we'll be happy to help you there. There's a free trial available that you can sign up to from our website. So when you sign up to the trial, you just need to create a policy and activate the functionality you need in your policy. Then once you've activated that functionality in your policy, you would need to put the cloud agent on the devices that you want to manage, and then you're ready to go. Once the cloud agent is on those devices, then they report into the cloud console. You can carry out all those on-demand actions on them. And if you want us to show you in more detail, we'll happily show you on a demo. Please just scan that QR code to book into my calendar. We'll happily talk about the particular requirements of your school, discuss any particular needs you might have, and tailor a demo to your pain points. And hopefully we might be able to show you that we can save you quite a lot of time, save you money, and keep you safe. Thanks very much, everyone, for your time on today's session, and we'll catch up with you on the next webinar. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye-bye.